My boss humiliated me daily for 2 years, but she had no idea I was recording every cruel word she said. And when I finally played those recordings at her wedding, well, let me just say the bride didn't get her fairy tale ending. My name is Sarah, and this story takes place at Morrison & Associates, a mid-sized marketing firm in downtown Chicago. I started there in September 2022 as a junior marketing assistant, fresh out of Northwestern with my communications degree and stars in my eyes. I thought I'd landed my dream job. I was so wrong. My boss was Rebecca Walsh, the marketing director. 34 years old, perfectly styled blonde hair, designer clothes, and a smile that could freeze hell over. From day one, Rebecca made it clear that I was beneath her. "Sarah, did you go to school for marketing or for making coffee? Because that's about all you seem capable of." That was week 2. The abuse started small. Snide comments about my clothes, my ideas, my work. But it escalated quickly. Rebecca would steal my campaign concepts and present them as her own in meetings. When I tried to speak up, she'd cut me off. "I'm sorry, did someone hear something? I thought I heard a mouse squeaking." The other employees would just look down at their phones, terrified of becoming her next target. By month 3, the harassment was daily. Rebecca would call me into her office just to tear me apart. "Your presentation was embarrassing, Sarah. I had to completely redo it because you clearly don't understand basic marketing principles." She'd CC the entire department on emails criticizing my work, always with that passive-aggressive corporate speak that made it sound professional while being utterly humiliating. The breaking point came in January 2023. I'd been working on a social media campaign for 3 weeks. Stayed late every night, poured my heart into it. The client loved the pitch meeting. 2 days later, I saw Rebecca presenting my campaign to the board of directors, taking full credit. When I confronted her privately, she laughed. Actually laughed. "Prove it, Sarah. You're an assistant. I'm the director. Who do you think they'll believe?" That night, I went home to my studio apartment and cried for 2 hours. But then something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to be her victim anymore. I was going to be her downfall. The next morning, I downloaded a voice recording app on my phone. Every interaction with Rebecca, every meeting, every cruel comment, I started recording it all. Illinois is a one-party consent state, which means I only needed my own permission to record our conversations. Rebecca had no idea that her reign of terror was being documented, word by word. For 6 months, I collected evidence. Rebecca calling me dead weight during a staff meeting. Rebecca telling a client that I was new and still learning when I'd been there almost a year. Rebecca mocking my presentation skills to other directors, saying I had all the charisma of a wet napkin. But the recordings revealed something else too. Something I never expected. During her coffee breaks with other managers, Rebecca would complain about her personal life. Her fiancé David, how he was boring in bed, how his family was trashy, how she was only marrying him because he had money and connections. "I give it 2 years before I'm filing for divorce and taking half his assets," she once said, laughing like it was the funniest joke in the world. I felt sick listening to it, but I kept recording. Then came July 2023. Rebecca started planning her wedding, and she couldn't stop talking about it. The venue, the dress, the guest list. She was having a destination wedding in Napa Valley that October, sparing no expense on her future husband's dime. That's when she mentioned the groom's name again. David Morrison. My blood ran cold. David Morrison. I knew that name. We'd gone to Northwestern together, had 2 classes together senior year. He was kind, funny, genuine, everything Rebecca wasn't. We'd even studied together a few times for our media ethics final. I looked him up on social media that night. Sure enough, there he was, posting about his engagement to Rebecca Walsh, looking absolutely smitten. The poor guy had no idea what he was walking into. For 3 months, I wrestled with what to do. Part of me wanted to stay out of it, just focus on documenting Rebecca's workplace abuse for my inevitable HR complaint. But every time I heard her talk about David like he was just a paycheck with a pulse, I felt this burning anger in my chest. He deserved to know who he was really marrying. October 14, 2023. Rebecca had been bragging about her wedding day for weeks. She'd taken a full week off, leaving me to handle her entire workload, naturally. But she made one crucial mistake. She'd mentioned the venue name in front of me. Silverado Resort. She'd also mentioned they weren't doing a receiving line, instead, they had an open mic during dinner where guests could share stories and toast the couple. That's when the perfect plan crystallized in my mind. I called in sick that Saturday and drove 3 hours to Napa. I'd found David's groomsmen list on social media, small wedding, maybe 60 people total. I knew if I dressed appropriately and acted like I belonged, I could blend in during the cocktail hour. The hardest part was waiting. The reception was beautiful. Rebecca looked stunning in her designer dress, playing the part of the blushing bride perfectly. David looked so happy, so in love. It almost made me sick watching him gaze at her like she was his whole world. I waited through dinner, through the first few toasts from family members. My heart was pounding so hard I thought people could hear it. Finally, during a lull, I stood up. "Excuse me," I said, walking toward the microphone. "I'd like to say something about Rebecca." David smiled at me encouragingly. Rebecca's face went white when she saw me, but she couldn't make a scene without looking crazy. I reached the microphone and pulled out my phone. "Rebecca and I work together," I began. "And I thought everyone should know exactly what kind of person she really is." I played the first recording. Rebecca's voice filled the reception hall. "David is so boring in bed, I literally have to think about other men just to get through it." The room went dead silent. I played another one. "I'm only marrying him for his money. 2 years, maybe 3, then I'm filing for divorce and taking half his assets." David's face crumbled. Rebecca jumped up, screaming, "Stop. Turn that off." But I kept playing them. Recording after recording of Rebecca's true thoughts about her husband-to-be. How his family was trash. How she was already planning her exit strategy. How she'd been seeing her personal trainer behind his back for months. David just sat there, tears streaming down his face, as his new wife's mask finally slipped completely off. The final recording was Rebecca talking to her maid of honor just 2 weeks before the wedding. "Honestly, I can't wait for the honeymoon to be over so I can get back to Marcus. David is just so adequate, you know?" When the recordings ended, the silence was deafening. David stood up slowly, pulled off his wedding ring, and placed it on the table. "The marriage is annulled," he said quietly. "Rebecca, you're exactly the person I thought you could never be." He walked out, followed by his entire family and most of the guests. Rebecca was left standing there in her $10,000 dress, mascara running, screaming obscenities at me as I calmly walked to my car. The fallout was swift and brutal. By Monday morning, Rebecca's behavior wasn't just my problem anymore, it was a company-wide scandal. Someone had apparently filmed my wedding revelation and posted it online. It went viral. Morrison and Associates fired Rebecca that Tuesday. David's father, it turned out, was one of their biggest clients. Losing him would have cost the company millions. But the best part? David reached out to me 3 days later. He thanked me, apologized for what I'd endured at work, and asked if I wanted to grab coffee and catch up on old times. We've been dating for 6 months now. As for Rebecca, last I heard she was working at a small firm in Wisconsin, far from the corporate ladder she'd been climbing. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and I'm proud I was there to provide it. The recordings didn't just save David from a disastrous marriage, They saved me from a toxic work environment and led me to someone who actually deserves my love and respect. If you're dealing with a workplace bully, document everything. You never know when that evidence might be exactly what you need for the perfect moment of justice. What would you have done in my situation? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of karma striking back.